Spiritual resilience.
Yes.
Ooh, a lot of people are learning a lot about that. Meaning that folks are bouncing back. Bouncing back from difficulties, bouncing back from financial challenges, bouncing back from trauma. And so what we're going to talk about is, I'm going to lay the foundation today and next week on really how to practice building our resiliency capability so that when we get knocked down by life, and we're going to get knocked down, I mean, that's how you learn too.
Yes.
I was reading a quote in Larry's book, and I'm paraphrasing, but what the quote said was that you don't learn if life is always joyful. You learn through the struggle. You learn through the challenges. You grow and you strengthen through the struggle and the challenges. So if life was always, always joyful, you'd be at a state of homeostasis, meaning that you'd never change, everything would be the same. So we're going to just reorient our thinking around challenges and obstacles. So, spiritual resiliency. And I've worked with this word because it was flexibility. You know, I do this stuff a year in advance. And so when it comes closer to that time, it's kind of like, I'm not quite feeling the word flexibility. What's a better term? And I love words, right? So resiliency came to mind. So that means it's an ability that individuals have to bounce back from misfortune or adversity. So to make it spiritual, how does that happen? Spiritual resiliency is a consequence of believing in something that is more powerful than the situation.
Yes.
Think about that. I try to imagine my life without believing in a power to overcome life circumstances. What would you, if it's all up to me? Yeah. And so I'm like, thank God that there is a God and that I do believe, because when life gets really, really difficult, I have to have some place to go.
Yes.
Spiritual resiliency comes from just believing. All you have to do is believe that there is a power that can overcome these situations and circumstances, even if you cannot see your way through. You can't see your way clear on a personal level. There's a power that is greater than we are and is ours to use. That enables us to bounce back, to get up. I'm going to quote a very profound gentleman. You all probably have heard of him, and he says, "Inside the ring, ain't nothing wrong with going down. It's staying down that's wrong."
That was a good impression, too. That was good.
I like that.
He said, inside the ring, outside the ring, it doesn't matter. In life, it's the staying down that's wrong. And sometimes there are some individuals who get knocked down and never get back up. Yeah? So Hurricane Katrina was an absolute catastrophe. Everybody would agree with that, yes? There was lawlessness, there was anarchy afterwards. I mean, you know, people just ravaging the city, taking what they want. And so what was happening is that people were brought to the lowest level of human nature and behavior. Lawlessness and anarchy. However, there was also something else going on. There were incredible stories about the human spirit. About people saying, you know, they're putting up signs, you saw it on television, you know, we'll be back. God bless New Orleans. Wonderful, wonderful things like that. And what those residents had, including my family, because you all may or may not know that's the place of my birth. But what the residents of Louisiana, of New Orleans specifically had, they had Catholicism, They had Christianity, Islam, voodoo, yes, voodoo, Santeria, Judaism, every form of spiritual and religious expression, familiar and exotic. But it served one purpose. It gave those people hope. It bound them together, fortified their strength and their belief that they can overcome this. And this was a catastrophe of just tremendous magnitude, yes? So our spiritual resiliency enables us always to know that we can get through this. We can get to the other side. And that we don't have to do it alone. If we align ourselves with Spirit, if we understand the laws and we use the laws for our good, that we too can overcome these seemingly just horrific experiences. Ernest Holmes says this: no matter what our emotional storm or what our objective situation may be, we may stumble, but always there is something hidden in our inner being that has never been violated. And he says that God is always God. Yesterday I attended a funeral of one of my tennis buddies. He was my captain for many, many years when I played mixed doubles. And it was sudden, unexpected. He's always suffered with asthma, but nobody really knew it because he played tennis and he played hard. But he paid for it when he got home. We didn't know that. And so he had played a little bit too much tennis. What day was the 30th? Was that last Wednesday or so? Thursday. He had played a little bit too hard. And he went home, and unfortunately, he lived alone. He had an asthma attack, and he never woke up. And so yesterday, the service was really, really beautiful. And what the minister used to give comfort, to console his family. He predeceased his mother and his father. And that's a really, really hard thing. But she used the 23rd Psalm. She said that is the most requested, the most cited, most memorized scripture of all, because it is one of spiritual resiliency. So I'm not going to focus on the whole thing. I just want to use the second stanza. And it says that though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death,
I will fear no evil.
I feel no evil. Why do I fear no evil? For thou art with me.
Thou rod my staff.
Thou art with me. See, I told you it's the most recited. The most memorized. So let's talk about this one stanza, what I've read so far. Let's talk about that metaphysically. What does that mean? What does that mean to our lives today? And what does that mean in relationship to spiritual resiliency? What it says is that although you have some circumstances in your life, although you have some obstacles in your life, although you have some